Participate in a conversation with once conservative, now liberal Midwest mastered prepared special education high school teacher and a self-proclaimed devil's advocate, East Coast conservative liberal, baccalaureate prepared registered nurse. These two strangers met, became instant friends, and realized their conversations are candid and epic. So join us weekly, ask us questions, and listen to these profoundly candid friends try to solve the world's problems, one discussion at a time.
Hey. Welcome to another exciting episode of The New Theory with Monet and Jared, aka TNT with MJ. I am Jared.
I'm Monet.
And together we are teaching minds
and nurturing souls.
And this week, oh my goodness, we are so honored and privileged to welcome the first person of color as mayor in the city of Fort Smith, Arkansas, Mr. George McGill. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us this evening. We look forward to hearing from you, learning your story, getting your perspective, and of course, getting an education along the way. So be that as it may, thank you, sir. Opening words, and then I'm going to kick it to Monet for the first question.
Well, thank you. First of all, let me let you know I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you. The thing that I enjoy most about my life and the life that I live as a public servant and as a servant is I get a chance to talk to the next generations right below me, and certainly generations that are far removed from me. I get a chance to share my story in hopes that they will glean something that will give them some guidance on how to make the future better for their children and their grandchildren. And I share with them my experiences in hopes that some of them they will never experience. But on the flip side of that, I hope they get a chance to experience some of the things that I've had the pleasure to experience along the way, particularly in my political career and business career as well. So delighted to be here, and we're gonna have fun.
Yes. That's the objective. So this is great. I am, we are just enamored with your career. And I would like to start off the first question with asking, when did it ignite? When did you say, I'm going to run for whatever form of public office? Because if I'm not mistaken, your first platform was representative.
Give me some background about how I ended up in politics. Years ago, when President Bill Clinton, a light came on in his spirit that said, you need to run for public office. And when he made that decision to first run for public office, he called on some students he had in law school to help him run his very first campaign. One of those students happened to be my best buddy, a gentleman by the name of Carol Willis. Carol is deceased now, but Carol went on and became a legendary political operative here in Arkansas and across the nation.
Was Carol also African American?
I'm sorry?
Carol also? Yes.
Carol was an African American and happened to be in Bill Clinton's law school class. And Bill called on building his team. He wanted to build a diverse group of people to help him. And he called on my friend Carol Willis to help. And Carol in turn called me up and asked, he said, McGill, I need you to help me. I said, with what? At that time, I was running a business owner running a business. And he says, I need you to help me. I said, my professor is getting ready to get into politics and he's asked me to help him. And of course I inquired who it was and wanted to know something about it. And I said, I really don't have time for that. I'm trying to run a business here in Fort Smith. He says, yeah, I know. But hold on one moment, please.
That's fine. This is exciting.
Let me You know,
Go ahead.
as the
If
mayor,
you have to take the call,
let me take this call and I'll be right back with you.
Yes, sir.
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes.
Please. Thank
We're
you.
back.
Yeah,
No worries.
Thank you.
As
But
a hiccup.
yeah, but Carol Willis wanted me to help him um, uh, be responsible for the 3rd Congressional District. That's the district we live in. 3rd Congressional District, if you're familiar, politically speaking,
I was going to ask, what
the
all
3rd
does that
Congressional
cover?
District is between the Missouri line and South Fort Smith, all along. So Fayetteville,
Okay.
Rogers, Springdale, Fort Smith, all of
There you
that.
go.
The western quarter of Arkansas,
And when
from the Missouri line to southern part of Fort Smith, is the 3rd Congressional District.
Wow.
Which is one of the fastest growing areas in the United States, considering all we have in that section of our state. You got the Walmarts, you got the Tysons, you got the United States Air Base here in Fort
Oh,
Smith,
yeah.
Air
Yeah,
Force
US.
Base.
Yeah.
You got the Arkansas River, you got interstates intersecting the country. We're in the heartland. So he asked me to be the campaign coordinator for the 3rd Congressional District.
Wow.
For Bill Clinton's campaign.
now,
So
campaign coordinator, what does that entail?
It involves creating energy about a particular candidate.
So driving the vote, getting the votes out.
Yeah, getting the votes out.
How did you Stacey Abrams that?
Look at just old school grassroots politics.
There you go.
Old school grassroots. So
there
you were out there with signs and talking to people,
knocking on doors.
I personally was not out there with signs, but I orchestrated and managed all of those activities in the 3rd Congressional District.
What did you do?
Coordinator.
You used the college students, high school students?
Well, we tapped anyone that was interested in a better world, in a better country.
Okay.
Amen.
So we created the messaging and helped create this image of what a great president could be, and we wrapped all of that around our guy, Bill Clinton. And so,
and what did you say though? What was the je ne sais quoi? That's my favorite word right now.
The thing with Bill that resonated with people. First of all, he was very dynamic. He was an amazing communicator.
Yes, he could talk.
And he had this ability to connect with everyday people, with passion and compassion, and with a sense of, I know how you feel because I once did not have much. I once struggled in a household with a single mom and an alcoholic dad.
I remember that.
So he and I once had to live on the other side of the track.
Wow.
And so that resonated with many people in the sense they felt like he understands our plight. He will fight for us. Plus, he's intelligent. He's a great communicator, and he cares about this nation as a whole.
He does.
He will embrace all of us, and that's what made him such a great president. People had a sense that he would do what's right. Now, that's not to say he did not make some mistakes when he was in office. That's a huge job. Like any political office, it's a huge job, and sometimes in the balancing act of trying to meet the needs of everyone, we hit a bump, or we miss a step, but none of that is intentional. For the most part, people that are interested in serving in these capacities, particularly in the eras that I've been involved in politics, they really had a genuine concern for the nation or the people that they represent. But anyway, we got involved with Bill Clinton's campaign, his early campaigns, and certainly he became governor, and I served in his administration. When he was governor of Arkansas, I served as the chairman of the Arkansas Contractors Licensing Board. We regulated the construction industry in the state, and so served in his administration and worked sort of as on his campaign advance teams. We would travel the country and do grassroots kind of campaigning. So, and and once he became president, I opted not to continue to follow him, in DC. Many of the guys and ladies that I worked with went on to have great careers in Washington, DC as part of his administration. Carol Willis continued to be an advisor to the president. Uh, Bob Nash uh, became the White House personnel director.
Wow.
Rodney Slater, also from Arkansas, became the first African American to serve as Secretary of Transportation for the
Wow.
United States. And there were many others that served in other capacities. Um, uh, and so many of them went on to have stellar careers in national politics because they were there as part of Clinton's campaign. But I was one of a handful who opted to come back home. And of course, I had a thriving business, so I came back home to continue my business.
I was about to ask, I mean, any regret in that decision at all, looking back?
There were times that I thought that I should have gone to DC when the opportunity was there, but always the door was always open that I could have gone back while he was in office. But my better thinking led me to believe that my best service would be done at home. And after I retired, the citizens of Fort Smith contacted me and asked me to serve in the Arkansas House of Representatives. Politics at that point, elected politics was not my goal. I enjoyed working as an operative, during those campaign years and doing all those things, but I was never interested in being on the front end of politics as an elected official.
So people just was like, "Hey, why don't you run?"
Yeah, it was quite interesting. I received a phone call, and one of the gentlemen, one of the leaders in the community said, "We would like to visit with you." And I'm thinking, who is this we? And I went to a meeting, and there were 15 or 20 people in the room. And I was kind of concerned about what did they really want.
Exactly.
And they made a case for me serving in the Arkansas legislature to represent Fort Smith. And of course, I asked them, "Why would you want me to do that? I'm gainfully retired and I'm enjoying life. I'm enjoying traveling the country and traveling the world and enjoying the fruits of my labor, enjoying life." And they said, "Well, we think you would be good for our city." And after consultation with my children and some old buddies of mine that are always candid with me, they agreed it may not be a bad idea, give it a shot. And so I let them know that I would run for state representative, and I ran and did not draw an opponent.
All right, so I have a question. When these people were in the room, were they other professionals or were they other?
They were business leaders.
Business
and
leaders.
other professionals and the leadership in our city. Yeah.
Okay, so they were like the creme de la creme of Fort.
Yeah,
Fort Smith.
Yeah, you can put it that way, I guess.
Yeah. So you would need the backing of. Okay, I'm just trying to get Jared busy.
Yeah.
But we're listening to you, Mayor. I'm loving it.
Yes, sir.
A group of people who have a vested interest in the growth and prosperity of the city. And they're very interested in making sure they have the best people to represent them at the state capitol. Because quite often, because we sit so far away from the state capitol, people often felt like we were being left out of the discussions, left out of the decision making, left out when it was time to distribute funding, or we were being left out when they were picking sites for pilot programs. They kind of felt like we were being left out.
Yes.
So they wanted to, they were interested in building a team of legislators that could go to the state capitol and get people's attention. To make sure Fort Smith would be recognized.
That's Wow, that's
That's
awesome.
amazing. Okay, so when you talk to your family and you said, sorry, Jared, this is
No,
my
you're
little
good.
brother. I'm
You're
being a
good.
big sister right now. Sorry about that. I get
You're
a
good.
little
Go ahead.
excited. You talk to your family. They said yes. You went out and you started campaigning. You had an objective so that Fort Smith can be heard. Was there anything during this time where you were like, I already know I'm going to do A, B, C, and D? You had your agenda.
You know, I am.
Did it get swayed? Like did like
I'm,
J and K just jump up in there with that A, B, and C?
no, I'm a
No.
guy that I have a radical belief in God.
Okay, I'm with it. Me too.
I have a radical belief in God, and I
Yes, sir.
trusted that if I didn't draw an opponent and didn't have to run, all I had to do was go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Then there was a work for me to do, and I didn't know what that was. I just
Yeah,
didn't
right.
know why these doors opened for me. I had no
Uh-huh.
idea because it was something I did not ask for.
That's right.
Mm.
But something kept telling me, "You go, just go, and all of that will be revealed."
Wow.
And sure enough, all of that was revealed, and it didn't take long for me to realize my purpose there.
Okay. So
Yeah,
wait, you mean to tell me you didn't go with an agenda? You were just like, you know what? God put me in this position. Let's see what's going to happen.
yeah, because I inquire, like I said, I have a radical belief in him, and I don't mind talking. And
Amen.
I asked the question, "What? Tell me about this. What is this about? Why is this door opening for me, and I'm being led through it?"
Okay.
And it kept coming back to me. You just go. I'll get with you on that. But right now, just go.
So no plan, just knowing
Wow.
that you
Just
have
go.
goodness, kindness, and love in your heart.
Just go. And,
Just go.
and do what you always done. I haven't asked you to change anything, but you just go.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
it was not very long before I realized that there was a good purpose or a good reason for me to be there. In the
Okay.
sense that I became a mentor to the majority of the House of Representatives. I was the go-to guy. I became the go-to guy when people were struggling with family issues. They were struggling with all kinds of things. They would show up at my office to say, Representative McGill, I need help. This job down here is taking me away from my family.
So you kind
And
of
our
became a
relationship,
conscious.
yeah, not what it used to be. Can you help me? What should I do? How tell me? And, and so I realized it was just simply I was there to share my experiences, my life experiences with them in hopes it would benefit them in solidifying their relationships at home, building great relationships with their colleagues. Again, I guess they said I was the conscience of the House of Representatives.
Wow.
And
Awesome. That was like they were like, that's the conscious right there.
yeah, go to him. If you're struggling with something, go to him.
Oh, I love that.
And the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and because of my relationship building skills, my party was in a super minority. There were only 25 Democrats there, but I became a leader in the body. I was elevated to one of the highest positions in the Arkansas House of Representatives. I became a deputy pro tem. I became part of
Wow.
the leadership team with the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and I asked him. I was a chairman of the Aging Children, Youth, and Military Affairs Committee, and that was right down my alley because I love
Yes.
and did some great work as the chairman of those committees. But the Speaker of the House called me and said, George, I've got something better for you to do. Certainly you can continue to be the chairman, but I would like for you to become a deputy pro tem and be close to me. And I asked what he wanted me to do. He says, I just want you to protect the integrity of this body. That's your job.
Dang. Integrity.
Wow.
Protected for all.
Yeah.
That means the Dems and the Republicans.
Yes. He said, I want you to protect the integrity of this body. He says, when our term ends, we want the people of Arkansas to feel very proud about all of us serving in this
There you
body.
go.
Democrats, Republicans, and all.
Whoever.
At a national meeting, the Arkansas legislature was voted the most civil legislative body in the United States.
Oh my
That's awesome.
God. Amen, amen,
That's
amen.
awesome.
That is beautiful. Okay, so
See,
go
now,
ahead,
I
Jared.
wish I was. I know. I was just going to say. I just wish I was more politically aware at the time because I
Now
was
we
a
are.
teenager at the time. I was a
But you was a
teenager during that
teenager.
whole time. Like I didn't care.
But you see how we have to use.
I understand that too.
You see how we have to use the past, Jared, to now
You're right.
remind
You're
us
right.
how to take care of this future.
You're right.
No, for
You're
real.
right.
This is
No,
what this is what's happening right now.
Yeah. No, I feel
This
you.
is
I feel you.
beautiful. Go ahead, Jared. If you got your question, because you know I got more.
No, well, I guess my follow-up question from there would be, I mean, being elevated to that, or being elevated to that stature, and having the state legislator being voted that, or being considered that high of a standard, why go from there to, I don't want to say it's a demotion by any stretch of the imagination, but you go from state representative to mayor. Why not governor?
Just keep staying as a state rep.
or keep going.
Well, and I've been asked that 1,000 times.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Good being original, Jared.
I know, I'm sorry.
I hate to,
No, I needed to know.
Jared, that's not an original question.
Ah, man. All right.
And people
I'm
ask,
over one.
I served.
No, you're good, honey.
When I went to the Arkansas legislature, they had term limits in the sense that you could only serve 3 terms.
Okay.
And when I went, that was my intention, that if I was reelected, I couldn't serve no more than 3 terms anyway. But while there, they did change the law where you could serve much longer than that. But after my 3rd term, that same group of people out of Fort Smith called me up and said, George, would you come visit with us again?
Oh.
They're like, bring some lobster this time.
And then, out of that
want shrimp, no donuts. It's like, hey.
They said, would you consider coming home and running for mayor?
Wow.
Okay.
And again, I asked the question, why me?
Why not?
Like it in the Arkansas legislature, They said, well, and they made their case, and I opted to come home and run for mayor. And my campaign for mayor was the first time I ever drew any opponents.
Wow.
I did read a little bit of that.
Yeah, I drew opponents.
And?
Well, obviously he won.
Yeah.
I know, but I want.
Yeah, one.
Jared, I ain't at that chapter yet.
Yeah, one with a simple majority, and that astounded people around the state, certainly, and around the nation, that for the first time an African American ran for mayor of the city of Fort Smith, Arkansas, which was celebrating 200 years in existence. First time running, an African American became the mayor of the 2nd largest city in Arkansas.
What was your platform, Mayor?
My platform had to deal with just building a wonderful future, building, getting people to appreciate who we are, appreciate what we have in the River Valley, appreciate, let's not focus on someone else. Let's take a moment and pause and appreciate what we have and who we are. Let's appreciate the things that we are not known for. And people ask that question, what do you mean? I said, we're known for things that did not happen here. We're known for not having racial strife. We didn't have that here. Like Little Rock, Little Rock 9, and then got the monuments on the state capitol.
That's right.
We didn't have that. We had peaceful integration. We had
Yeah.
integration that was built on communication,
And respect.
listening, respect. Little did the men and women of that era know, they were simply, they teach that in the textbook now. It's basic leadership 101.
Yes.
They practice that. And the first
Um,
thing
can,
everyone did when the civil rights legislation was passed, I was a senior, had just graduated from high school, had my ticket to the University of Arkansas, and I was ready to go. But what they did here in Fort Smith, and my father was part of the African American leadership here. He was a minister, Baptist minister. My
Okay.
mother was a social worker, and they were part of the African American leadership here. And the white leadership, and my parents and some other African Americans, they took a look at the country. They took a look at other cities and what had happened with the integration crises and all of the things
Chaos.
that happened, all the nasty things that happened. They
Mhm.
decided, we don't want that here.
No.
What can we do if we come together and talk, listen, communicate, and think about what we can do to make sure that does not happen? And they did that in an amazing way. To what we did completely went unnoticed. That we integrated the schools, we integrated all the public spaces without ever an incident.
That took white people to do it too. The good white people.
Sure.
The
Well,
white
the way
people
they
that
did it,
said, I see a human that deserves respect and love.
sure.
That was in Arkansas.
And I tell you what, tell you an interesting story. The gentleman that Dr. H.P. McDonald was head of our NAACP at the time. And they were integrating all the restaurants and, the lunch counters and public spaces. And Dr. McDonald took a small group of people to a department store that had a lunch counter to integrate that lunch counter. So happens that when they arrived, the young man that greeted them happened to be the son of the owner of the business. And so he had just graduated from college, and his dad left him in charge.
Okay.
And so here they come to integrate. And once Dr. McDonald told the young man why they were there, the young man said, Dr. McDonald, would you do me a big favor? He said, my dad is out of town on a buying trip, buying merchandise for a store. So he's on a buying trip in New York right now. Could you wait until he comes back and then integrate when he gets back? He said, would you wait till my dad gets back and then integrate? And certainly Dr. McDonald, being a wonderful man, he said, young man, I understand. And I'll come back when your dad gets back to town. And the group of African Americans turned and walked away. And they later came back when the young man's dad was in town. Of course, nothing ever happened. Nothing ever happened. They changed the water fountains, changed the labeling on the fountains, the one that had color.
What year was this?
It was in the 60s.
Okay.
1960.
64?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
no incident, no violence,
no
bigotry, no hatred from either side.
My dad's vacation Bible school kids integrated Creekmore swimming pool. That's the public swimming pool here.
I love Creekmore.
Yeah,
I grew up in Greenwood. I was born in Fort Smith, grew up in Greenwood, so I'm very familiar with the Fort Smith area. Went to church there. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, very familiar with that area. Kids. Oh man, Creekmore, great place.
Yeah, and the plan was, again, these great minds came together to make sure nothing happened. What they decided was that my dad would take his vacation Bible school kids to Creekmore Park for their end of vacation Bible school big outing, picnic.
Oh, there you go.
But and what they did was they decided that they would integrate that swimming pool with children 10 years older and less. In other words, I was not allowed to be there.
Okay.
I was a teenager. And I knew what was happening. I knew the change in America, and I knew what could happen.
Yeah, for you.
Yeah, and so it was decided, my dad decided that only the children, the
Mm.
little children, the ones that had no earthly idea about all of this Christ, this
Yeah.
apex, this point in American history, they had no idea about that. And he took those children to the public swimming pool for the first time, and and they went swimming, and it didn't take 5 minutes before the white children and the black children were having fun in the pool.
Mm.
Playing and having a good time. Did the parents say anything? Did it go into the newspaper?
Didn't even take parents. He escorted my
Wow.
dad and two excuse me, two vacation Bible school teachers.
I'm talking about the white parents.
You know, they didn't make any noise that
They didn't make no noise.
went public. Yeah, it
Wow.
was quietly. It just didn't happen.
Mm.
And so what happened behind closed doors, but there was never a public display or an outcry about integrating anything in Fort Smith.
Wow. I've got a whole new appreciation of Fort Smith.
I know.
I mean,
Just,
you
I'm not gonna
know,
lie.
African Americans make up about 8% of the population here.
Wow.
Excuse me.
So those are quality people out there looking
sorry.
for positivity and change. Everybody wants peace, contentment.
You know, the majority of the people want the same things. They want quality
We all
education
do.
for their children. They want great health care, conveniently located.
Mhm.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we all take a drink.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. Well,
We're gonna take a drink.
hydration break. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I can feel that. Just saying.
Yeah.
Mm.
We're all getting
Yeah.
the cough, and
You know,
the weather's changing.
you know, when you get down to it, people want the same things.
Yes, sir.
People on the lowest spectrum of the income pole, they want the same things as everyone else. They want a great education for their children. They want a nice, clean, safe place to live.
Yeah.
They want to enjoy the fun things. They want to go to a nice park and enjoy that. They want to be able to go out and go to a restaurant and eat, to go to a movie, the simple things in life that we all appreciate. We all want the same things.
Yes.
And when we accept the fact that we all want the same thing, then it should be real easy for us to get it. We get it together. And that's what's happening in Fort Smith. Fort Smith, again, a lot of the things that we do that are amazing simply go unnoticed because we don't make a lot of noise about it. You take, for example, even though we make up only 8% of the population, African Americans,
Mm-hmm.
but you know our county clerk, a county-wide election, our county clerk is an African American female, won by a landslide.
Nice.
Wow. Progressive.
Nice.
Yes, won by a landslide, and they love her dearly because
she loves people.
She's good at what she does.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And people embrace that. Again, Fort Smith has had a history because we've always felt neglected and isolated. They knew they didn't have the luxury of playing politics. Their goal was to always try to elect the best people so they could get the best return on the work that they're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
And so,
Period.
and so it was no surprise that I won because the people of Fort Smith, they know me. It's my hometown. I built a business here. I've served here for many, many years in many roles and capacities. I served on the Fort Smith Planning Commission, served as chairman of that commission.
Wow. Okay.
Mm.
So you're definitely familiar with the infrastructure and
Sure, absolutely.
And yeah, the makeup
And
of that
what the
city.
people want.
Wow, exactly.
How to be candid and integral and interact with the people and unite the people.
Sure.
And bring the positivity and goodness. How can your mayoral position transcend Arkansas? Sorry.
I recall in 2019, my very first year in office. And I was in office about 5 months when the Corps of Engineers reported to me in Fort Smith, said, Mayor, a record-breaking flood is headed your way. Your city is going to flood, and the water is going to be at record-breaking levels.
Can I ask about whereabouts that was? Is that around the Phoenix Avenue area?
It came down the Arkansas River.
Okay, yeah.
The
Of course.
There were heavy rains up in Kansas and Oklahoma. If you understand the topography of that area, all the waters pour into it, and it drains to Fort Smith. If you visualize a bathtub,
Yeah,
and that bathtub being an area that encompasses Kansas and Oklahoma and Arkansas, Fort Smith sits right where that drain is. And once all of that rain pours into Kansas and Oklahoma, and once it fills up the reservoirs in Oklahoma and Kansas, and those reservoirs can no longer hold that water, guess where it comes? It heads toward Fort Smith.
Fort Smith.
And so because of my role as mayor, I had to be the voice that the people would have to listen to when it came to taking instructions on what we must do as a city, what we must prepare for, how we must be prepared to take care of those that are going to be underwater in 3 days. How are we going to feed them? How are we going to house them? What are we going to do? How are we going to protect that property?
Did you go to Mexico?
I thought about it.
Don't say that.
That was good.
There was nowhere to run.
There was nowhere to run, was it?
What you have to do is become you become the voice of calm.
Yes, and you stay, right?
And you stay the voice of calm. You stay the voice of reason. You stay the voice of leadership. And then others gravitate to that. And then those that fill those roles when it comes to emergency services. And again, at times like that, then you must practice your leadership skills. You must listen to those. You must listen to the fire department. You must listen to your emergency services people. You must listen as they share with you the role they must play to deal with the tragedy that's headed your way.
Yes.
And we were able to do that in a good way. We fed thousands of people. We bagged thousands and thousands of sandbags. We provided thousands of pounds of food and clothing and shelter, and made people as comfortable as they could. And as a leader, you have to be on the front line. You can't be in the office. You have to be on the front line. You must find yourself at a sand pile bagging sand. You must find yourself at the place where they're feeding those that have lost everything. You have to be there and be that face of comfort, be that voice of comfort to assure everyone, we're going to take care of you, and we're going to be there with you until things return to normal.
Yeah.
And when you do that, then people embrace you as their leader, as their spokesperson. And so that's when the real rewards come, that at the end of the day, when things are restored, you hear a 10-year-old say, Mr. Mayor, I love my city.
Oh, I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
I'm going to cry, Mayor. Don't do this to me right now. That is so beautiful.
Wow.
I want to move to your city. Y'all got
I'll be
hospitals.
happy to give you the grant.
Oh no, they got plenty of hospitals. I'm telling you.
I'm coming. Well, you already know. See, Jared knows once this assignment is over at the end of May that I'm going. I'm coming to Arkansas.
Come take a look. I'd love
I have to
show you my city.
I would love to see this city. Well, we are planning on taking this podcast to
On the road,
like a visual
Mhm.
level
platform. Yeah.
platform. Yes.
Yeah.
Universities, whatever. We want to do town halls.
Oh, there's plenty of opportunity there in Fort Smith. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, because I love people.
Yeah, we have an amazing community. Just give you another example.
I'm talking to the mayor. I can tell you this. I'm loving the mayor. My brother was born there. I have to come to Fort Smith.
My dad worked there in St. Edwards. He was there at St. Edwards Hospital.
Yeah, I would love to welcome you to my city.
1,000%.
And let you see why I love it. Again, keep in mind, I'm not talking about perfection in the least bit. There were times during the campaign, someone would come to me and tell me something that someone may have said that had a racist overtone, or it was just pure outright racist. You know?
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, it was so minuscule.
Hmm.
To all the beautiful things
went unnoticed.
Yes.
You expect some of that.
Now I can tell you this, Mayor. I live in Philadelphia. I get that racist nonsense a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
No,
so, like I said, we're not perfect, but overwhelmingly, I would be willing to bet that
I will say. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'd be willing to bet that if I needed this city by my side,
amen,
on any occasion, they would be as far as the eye could see.
I bet.
Wow. Yeah.
The salt of the earth is in my brother. I can see it.
That's so beautiful.
Hearing it in your voice and listening to your story, I just love. And can I just point out that when I said, were you there or were you in Mexico? You said I could have. See, you didn't go the easy route. Like, no, because we're all human and we can all do things. We know what the right thing is. But the funny thing is, let humans be humans. That nobody's perfect.
Sure. I mean, it's amazing. A gentleman, when I graduated from college and came back home, I had the privilege of meeting the gentleman that founded the ArcBest Corporation, Arkansas Best Corporation, huge corporation. You're very familiar with him. I had the privilege of meeting him as a youngster right out of college, getting ready to go to work. And I was in the office talking to the human resources manager, getting my employee handbook and all of these things. And in the area where I was in, it got very quiet like, and I noticed something. I said, something's not right. There's no buzz in this office. All of that ceased. And the human resources manager says, yeah, it has ceased. He said, do you see that gentleman standing in the doorway? And I turned, and there was a short gentleman standing in the doorway, very dignified, impressive man. And he said, the gentleman you're looking at is the founder and CEO of this company. And he very rarely shows his face in here. And the gentleman headed toward me. When he started moving, he came in my direction. And he said, young man, I understand you're going to go to work for my company. And I said, yes, sir, I am. He said, have you had your coffee today? And I said, no, sir. He said, would you join me? And I was, almost petrified, but I went to coffee with him and we visited for 45 minutes or so. And he taught me life lessons that I carry with me today.
Can you give us one?
I was about to say, could you share one?
Yeah, the most important, he was a very quiet man. And he said, George, I don't talk a lot, but I listen. And he said, I don't talk a lot because I don't want to say something that I shouldn't have said. And he says, you talk long enough, you'll say something. you wish you shouldn't have said. He says, I make it a point not to talk a lot. And he says, I listen. He says, I listen. He says, if you listen long enough, you'll know where a person's heart is, you'll know what their needs are, and you'll discover how you can help them.
Mm.
And so I practice that daily. I think those are the things that caused me to be elevated in the House of Representatives. I listened to those legislators, and I knew what their concerns were, and I would think of ways that I could help them navigate the barriers that they had put up. And so
That's
I will
beautiful.
forever
Yes.
be grateful for the opportunity to meet such a wise man.
Wow. Wow.
That is powerful.
Goodness.
That is.
I got nothing. I got nothing left.
Look,
That was just like this.
Mayor, my name is
Wow.
Monet, and it means to be heard in French. And I got nothing to say.
Well, I'll tell you what, Monet, that's a great name. One of my favorite nieces, her name is Monet, and believe it or not, you remind me a lot of her. She just graduated from the University of Arkansas.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm literally like tearing up.
So
Because
I gotta.
I know when God willing, the people that hear this, the
Mhm.
message that you're giving us is going to is being conveyed beautifully.
Look,
This is worth its weight in gold, and we
look,
as Americans right now need it.
it doesn't
Absolutely.
take much. It doesn't take
Right.
much for us
No, it doesn't.
to live together.
No.
You're
It
right.
doesn't take much. I remember in the House of Representatives, there was a big debate about separating Martin Luther King holiday from that of Robert E. Lee. It confused the people of Arkansas in that it
I
was
remember that.
difficult to appreciate Dr. King at the same time talk about Robert E. Lee on the same day. It's difficult to have those conversations, particularly with children. It's confusing.
I
How
got
can
into
we
arguments with my
celebrate this
friends at the
guy and
time.
this what's and we had a debate in the Arkansas legislature, and the governor proposed legislation because at the time there were only 3 states in the nation that celebrated those 2 days on the same day.
Mhm.
And Governor H.L. Hutchinson decided this is not a good image for Arkansas, that we don't take the time to celebrate Dr. King's birthday exclusively without having an aura of slavery, Civil War wrapped around the discussions and achievements of Dr. King.
Mhm.
And there were only 3 states that did that. And Governor Hutchinson decided, if we want to be a state that's viewed as being open for business, as being as a state that's being open to all people, we need to do something about this and put these dates, separate these dates and put them in a proper place, and then require the educators to create a curriculum where they can properly talk about these things and educate our children. And in that discussion, I talked to my colleagues about setting their divisions aside. Many of my white colleagues were saying, I don't want you to destroy Robert E. Lee's day because I'm a descendant of someone who fought in the Civil War. And then we had African Americans said, we don't want this anymore because it's offensive, because my people were slaves during that era.
Mm-hmm.
And the debate became very heated.
Yeah.
And the governor's office asked me to address my colleagues in the House of Representatives to help him with this piece of legislation.
Wow.
Spoke to them for about 10, 12 minutes and convinced them that educating our children should be the role of the educators. It's not my place to teach the history of Robert E. Lee, because I don't know what those men experienced during the Civil War. I had my great great grandfather George McGill, who I'm named after, fought in the Civil War.
Mm.
And I often
For Arkansas?
He fought in the Civil War. The war ended when he was in Mississippi.
He was the Union or he was Confederate?
No, he fought for the Union. You know.
I'm gonna cry again.
Yeah, he
This is
fought
not
for
healthy.
the Union.
This is
And,
not good.
and the Civil War ended. When it ended, I often wondered, what happened to him? What happened to George? Did they give him a gun? Did they give him a horse or a mule to travel on? Did they give him ration, or did they tell him the war's over, you can go home, George?
How was he treated?
What was
Go home though.
what was that like for him? Still in Southern territory, because the war ended, hearts and minds did not change instantly.
Yeah.
No.
And I wonder.
And he had that blue uniform, and he was a black man.
And what was his journey like? He found his way to Fort Smith, Arkansas, and I don't know why he stopped here, but he found his way from Mississippi and stopped along the Arkansas River and began his life. And we've been here ever since. And I told my colleagues, I said, I can't tell you how George felt. I was not there. I can only imagine. And I advised him, I said, so you stop bearing the burden of your forefathers, your ancestors. And I advised my white colleagues, you stop bearing the burden of the things that your forefathers may have done. That was not you.
No.
There you go.
We are the Arkansas delegation of today. Let us make sure that our children are educated properly. Let's call on the Department of Ed to create some curriculums that will educate and tell the truth about these things. And then we move forward. I said, I can't tell you what George experienced, but I advised him. I said, I can tell you about the people in this room.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's true.
Yeah, I said, I can tell you about Representative Collins or Representative De La Rosa. I said, those are the things that I'll tell my children.
Yes.
Because I know them. I know you.
You know what, Doctor? Doctor, listen to me. Listen to me, Mayor McGill. Because I feel so empowered. Because when I listen to you and I hear what you're saying without outside interference, it's like knowing your history and seeing how far we've come allows us to be prideful in the goodness, the good things we're doing now. As a descendant of Washington slaves, okay, and being a grandchild of the Great Migration, being in Philadelphia, they came from Virginia, Maryland area. Sitting here with my bachelor's of science in nursing, and Jared and I have had this conversation. There's immense pride, not prideful, but pride, like grandmom, great-great-grandmom, great-great-grandpapa, I did it. You survived in order for me to get to this point, and show the beauty in not necessarily, I don't want to say forgiveness, but moving forward. Being able to say, I knew what happened. I wasn't there, but they were. They survived. And I want to reap the benefits of what this nation has to offer. My mother and my father were there in the 60s. My mother was very active.
And so was I.
Yeah, and up here, like, you know, with the Black Panthers, meeting Malcolm X, like all of that. And she was slightly militant, but being able to.
I remember the conversation.
Yeah, right, because it's true. Like me and Jerry, I have shared stories like I couldn't take that woman anywhere sometimes. But with that being said, also having the discernment to say, I don't want to be nasty. You know, I'm going to see something that's wrong. I'm going to point it out, but I just want goodness, kindness, and love. Yeah. And I want to see that, like you said, listening to other people, not automatically putting them in categories. I want to feel who they are, enjoy their essence and their goodness. You know, so I hear what you're saying, but unfortunately, the argument is, because some people can hear what you're saying and saying, see, look, he's saying the past is in the past and move on. And it's like, yeah, we know, but you have to know it, all of it.
And what you do, we don't. You hear this cute phrase you hear it thrown around, this cancel culture. Nobody.
I didn't even have to question about it. There we go. All right.
You can't cancel history.
No.
There you go.
No, you can't.
You can't cancel history. But what you
I'm
can
going.
do,
I'm just sitting here.
you can use history as a means to progress.
There you go.
You can use history as a means to compare where we want to be as opposed to where we were. We can use history. I use history all the time.
There you go.
I talk about my attending the University of Arkansas. When I first went there, they wouldn't let me live in a dormitory.
What?
No other reason other than the fact that I was Black. And as a child, as a youngster, teenager, getting ready, going off to college, I had never experienced that, but I couldn't live in a dormitory. So
where did you live?
In 1964, I had to search for housing off campus. Now, all of that was very good in the sense that it taught me I had to grow up very quickly.
Yes.
Grow up very quickly. But that was then. That did not deter me from getting my education. When I came up, we had one shot. My mom and dad could not afford to pay for a 6-year education, 6 years worth of education to get a bachelor's degree. We had to get it the first time.
Okay. Wow.
The first time. So
that's it.
So it's, again, we're not canceling anything. What we're doing, we're educating for the future. We don't ever want to see. I don't want people to see what I saw in the 60s with the rioting and the looting and the burning.
No, nobody wants that.
I hope the only way you see that is on a history reel somewhere.
Amen.
And even then, you'd have to search that one out. Yes. You're not going to get that. You're not going to get that in a public school education.
And people have to understand there will never be another civil war like we've experienced once before.
No, we will not let that happen.
600,000 young men on both sides of that lost their lives fighting for the right to own human beings. You'll never see that again.
No.
You'll never see that again. So what we all need to pause and realize what we said when the Pledge of Allegiance was written.
Oh my God! I'm sorry, Mayor. I literally listen.
she said that she recited that earlier today. As a matter of fact,
I said, Jared, I want you to hear something. He said, "What?" I said, "I pledge allegiance
and she recited it. Yeah,
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all." Don't start me.
That's right. That's all.
I've been saying that since I was 3 years old.
Sure.
You can't tell me this is not our country. For all, you taught me that, America. You taught me that. When I see Jared, I see my brother. He's my brother. But when I see the Asian man down the street or the Hispanic around the corner, I see my fellow countrymen. This is for all. I don't want him mugged. I don't want him robbed.
Right. I don't want y'all mugged.
I want his children to be educated so my kids can have somebody to play with because I want my kids to be educated.
That's right.
This is what you taught me, America. And you watched that nonsense on January the 6th, and you're going to sit here and tell me that was okay? You taught me that. My kids, I've taken my kids to Ellis Island twice, and I've been there 3 times. I don't have an Ellis Island. But I love experience. I love experiencing what my countrymen felt when they saw that liberty, that lady standing in that shore. How many books have we read? How many stories have we heard? I don't have those stories from my ancestors, but it's a beautiful story to hear. So I've gone to Ellis Island just to feel, wow, this is opportunity. This is beautiful. I married a man from another country that respected that lady. Yes. And when we were on Ellis Island and we went to the Statue of Liberty, I started singing, God bless her. People started joining in with me. And my kids said to me, Mom, how do you know these songs? I said, I was taught them in school.
I'm in school.
Wow.
I learned them.
And when I was called to service, when I was called to the military.
Wow.
Even though We were being treated poorly as African Americans in this country. I believed in this country. And when they see, I was in the military at a time where they drafted you. You didn't have a choice.
You didn't have a choice.
You could serve or leave the country or go to jail.
That's what I said.
But I served my country, and I served it not grudgingly. I felt proud to serve in the U.S. Army because I knew and I felt confident that one day that Pledge of Allegiance would hold true for me. And I still believe that.
Me too.
I still believe, and I say it, and I stand when I say it, because I think of the brothers that died in the Vietnam War.
My uncle did.
Brothers that didn't come back, and I think of all of my friends that many of them got wounded and traumatized because of a war. I stand for them. I don't fault anybody for not standing or taking a knee, but I stand for them. And I pledge my allegiance to the country they fought for.
I had a grandfather in the First World War. I had a father in the Vietnam War. My ex-husband, he was in the Marines. So I'm surrounded by military.
Sure.
I was surrounded, inundated with the opportunities and the possibilities America has to offer.
Sure.
I lost an uncle in Vietnam, and this is not a, pardon my expression, Mayor, a pissing contest. This is just an expression of love. I feel it coming from you for this country we were born on. Just because I'm Black doesn't mean I don't care about this country.
And you know, it's the only country I know.
That's what I said.
That's why I serve it every day. That's why I serve my city every day.
I said, look, we talk about military, but what about the ones? I think about all of the people, white, Black, Hispanic, that fought for rights in the 60s.
Sure.
You know what? Hold on. This is what America represents. The opportunity to say, hey, we don't like this. This isn't right. It started when they said, I'm throwing this tea in this water because we don't want a monarchy and we're not having this tyranny. That's what history, that's what you taught me, America. So we don't like protest, but that's essentially how this country was started.
Sure, absolutely.
So that's why I respect this country. Jared, what I say earlier, I said, you go now.
You said a lot of things.
Forgive me, Mayor. Here we go. This is the one topic every American can see.
Well, I want to pause there and just check in with the mayor because I know that he's got another engagement coming.
I've got 5 more minutes.
All right, good.
You got 5 more minutes. All right.
I'm gonna tell you because I'm a middle-aged woman. And make it quick because this is something Americans all can identify. In this country, I can go to Kohl's and go to the bathroom. Not only will I get soap and toilet paper, I'll get it cleaned every hour. I'm just saying, if you've been outside of this country, you either got to pay for it or go to the side of the road. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
For those that don't know, that's a big deal. Okay.
Well, I'm gonna kick it back to. We're gonna kick it back to Mayor McGill. I want to give him opportunity to
please. What's your final thoughts and statement?
Depart properly and give him
enough. Properly.
Just, shut up. You know what I mean.
I know. I love you.
I tell you what. You know, being the mayor of my town again. Let me thank 2 wonderful people you are, and my hope is that I get a chance to know you better.
You will.
I do know you have a passion for our nation. I know you have a passion for humanity.
Yes, sir.
And you keep up the good work.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And don't become complacent in what you're doing. No. Somebody's going to hear you. Somebody's going to hear those that you're interviewing. And that's going to make a difference. We don't ever know the impact of the great things we do. We don't know who it's going to influence. But you keep doing what you're doing, and it's going to make a difference. It's going to make a huge difference. And I'm thoroughly impressed with both of you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
And with that, I love my city. That's the one thing people often say, that guy loves this city, and I do, because it's home.
There you go.
What an amazing journey I've had to come from not being able to sit on the front seat on a bus in my town being the face and voice of it in 2020, 21. And so when the new companies are searching for a place to build or expand, and they come to Fort Smith. And
you're preaching to the choir, because I every time I come, I got family down in Greenwood, so I have to go through Fort Smith.
Yeah,
and every time there's something new. I'm not even kidding. Something new. And that's why I brought up Phoenix Avenue, because Phoenix Avenue, that whole shopping plaza has been elevated.
It's happening
to literally a whole nother level.
It's happening.
So I mean, it's just a beautiful. It's just awesome to see the development and seeing the infrastructure that's going on in there. And
it's happening. And you asked the question, well, what's going on? What's driving all of that?
Yes, sir.
The people of Fort Smith have a new sense of who they are.
Yes.
They have a new pride.
Okay.
They know they're tough.
Yes.
COVID-19 has not bogged this city down. We're tough. And
That's
people
right.
listen to the leadership. When we ask them, hey guys, let's wear our mask. Let's have fun doing it.
Yeah.
And the kids have fun doing it. And we bump elbows.
Yeah.
And we moonwalk to make sure we're 6 feet away.
That's right.
That's awesome.
It's fun, and we embrace the fact that we're in this together.
Yes.
We can't escape that fact that we're in this together. COVID is no respecter of anything.
Absolutely.
We're in this together. So I get a chance to talk about this city and the great things it's doing in spite of it. In the midst of COVID, our revenues have gone up 20%. New construction up 20, 30% in the middle. When cities are struggling, this city is booming.
Wow.
In the first 3 weeks of this year, we brought in close to 500 new jobs, paying north of $20 an hour.
Nice.
That's a pretty good wage in this area.
Yes, it
is.
That is way above. That is definitely
I'm sitting here calculating. Can I quit my job and come down?
I could do it.
We passed a millage here. When people are screaming about taxes, the people of Fort Smith passed a millage. It's going to pour $160 million into our educational facilities. We're going to have brand new gymnasiums all across the city. We're going to have 9th grade campuses all across the city. We have what we call a peak innovation center.
Nice.
What's that?
Those students will start transitioning from in the 11th grade. Go to this innovation center where they'll be able to touch and feel the latest equipment that they're using in advanced manufacturing operations, and they can go from high school to a $60,000 or $70,000 a year job because they'll be armed with the skills and all of that right out of high school.
Nice.
Wow.
I'm all about that. I'm actually one of the transitions teachers up here in the Northwest Arkansas.
It is unbelievable.
So that's awesome.
I'll show it to you.
Oh,
all the great things. So I live in a great place. The people are cool, and more young people are coming to my office to say, Mayor, how can I help?
Oh,
Let me serve on a board or commission. And I'm talking about my bright, smart people that are accountants and engineers and chemists and all of these young people who would normally be focused on their careers and raising their families. They're coming to me and say, Mayor, I want to be a part of what your dream is. I want to be a part of that.
Me too.
Wow.
As we move forward in the future, I want to have my handprints on some of these initiatives.
That's right.
You get me fired up, Mayor.
I just tell them, let's roll with it, baby.
That's right.
There you go.
Let's roll.
There you go.
Wow.
Oh man, well you got me fired up now.
Yeah, again, thanks so much.
Oh, thank you for your time, sir. Thank you for
part of your programming.
Oh yes, thank you. We appreciate you.
Yeah, don't lose sight of why you're there.
Nope, we know.
That'll make a difference
in
the lives of the people that give you the time by listening.
Thank you for that
Your
encouragement.
words are a million blessings and goodness, and I can't even thank you enough.
Well,
we can't thank you
very
enough.
best to you.
Well, you know how we will thank you though, Mayor. Not only are we going to come visit the city, but we're going to do the goodness. We're going to listen more, talk less, and we're going to make our moments, our actions more meaningful.
Yes. Live out your beliefs.
Live out your beliefs.
Amen.
That's right. That's right.
You don't have to. I tell one of the great pro football coaches once said, I don't remember which one it was, but I embrace this dearly. He said, when you're a winner, very rarely do you have to explain anything.
That's right.
And so when
That's
you're
right.
doing all the great things and people see you, you don't have to explain anything. They know you've helped somebody. They know you've served somewhere. They know you've given back. You don't have to explain that.
Mm-mm.
You don't have to explain.
And on that note, we're going to leave it there.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor McGill.
All right.
Thank
All
you
of the
guys
best
for
to you.
joining us. Absolutely. Take care.
Okay.
And God bless.
Bye.